A very good morning, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to see some familiar names in the audience today. Thank you all for setting aside time in your schedule to join us as we take you through a brief overview into the basics of employer interim filing. Now, before we jump into some house rules, I'm excited to go through a round of introductions. Presenting our filing webinar today are Justin and Elvira. Now, together with Justin's expertise as our software escalation specialist and Elvira's client first approach as our sales specialist, they've prepared a list of things to cover from prepping your company for filing to pre validating your data and a few other helpful tips that will ensure you guys walk away from today's session learning something new.
Hey everyone. Okay, so before we proceed with what to do on SimplePay and EasyFile, I just wanted to give a little background on what the reconciliation process is and just give some more details around it. So what is the reconciliation process and what is it for? Well, SARS stipulates that employers must do a reconciliation via e-filing or EasyFile every 6 months. This means that you'll do a reconciliation for March to August, which is known as the interim reconciliation, and September to February, which is known as the annual reconciliation. In the reconciliation process, you'll be reporting the PAYE, UIF, SDL, and ETI figures along with payroll information to SARS. And this is done in order to ensure that correct amounts have been paid over for each employee.
So Justin, you mentioned EasyFile and e-filing. Could you tell us a little bit about what this is? What is EasyFile and e-filing?
So EasyFile is a SaaS desktop application that was designed to help taxpayers who are employers or payroll administrators to conveniently manage their tax affairs. E-filing, on the other hand, is an online platform for the submission of returns and declarations and other related services.
So does this mean that employers can choose to either use EasyFile or e-filing to do their submission?
Yes, that's correct, Elvira. Either system can be used to do the reconciliation.
That's great. I think before we proceed, we can do a quick poll. And this poll will be displayed on the screens now in the form of a true or false question. So we're just going to give a couple of seconds for the question to pop up. There we go. And the question wants to know, SimplePay automatically generates the documents required for biannual submissions to SARS from your finalized payslips. Is this true or is this false? So we'll give the audience a couple of seconds to choose an answer. So 96% of the audience think that this answer is true. Justin, can you confirm, is this true?
So yes, this is true. SimplePay automatically generates all documents that you'll need for your biannual reconciliations.
That's great. So there's really no need to manually configure the documents then.
Yes, that's correct. No need to manually configure those documents.
But what are these documents, Justin? What is actually needed for filing?
So in order to do the reconciliation, employers need the IRP5 or IT3A tax certificates for employees and the 501 statement as well. These get reconciled against the EMP 201 statements that were submitted monthly and the actual payments that were made to SARS.
So what you're actually saying, Justin, is that SimplePay makes it easy by allowing you to upload your tax certificates directly into EasyFile. And it also generates the EMP 501 for you to compare your recon with SARS.
Yes, you're 100% correct.
That's awesome. So while we're on the topic, let's do another poll before we move on. And again, this will be in the form of a true or false question. And the question is, you can only use SimplePay's filing documents if you have started using the software from 1 March. So is this true or is this false? Okay, there we go. We have the results back. 24% of our audience think it's true and 76% think it's false. Justin, what is the actual answer?
So this is fortunately false. SimplePay has a functionality called take-on balances, which allow you to capture year-to-date payroll information And that in turn allows you to generate complete tax certificates for employees.
That's great. So there's no need to replicate pay slips then. You can simply upload the tax take-on balances for your employees.
Yes, take-on balances can also be uploaded in bulk via Excel spreadsheets.
Awesome. So how would we go about doing the EasyFile EMP 501 submission? Can you take us through the steps on SimplePay?
Okay, so the first step is to ensure that your employer filing details are completed. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I can walk you through the process. So everybody should be seeing my screen now. And essentially all we're going to be doing is going to settings on the left-hand side bar, and then going to employer filing details. And yeah, once again, it's important to make sure that all this information is complete and correct. And it's also important to note that the SARS contact detail field, such as the SARS contact name, is also, it's not for who you need to be contacting at SARS, but rather who SARS needs to be contacting at the company should there be any issues. And this is usually just whoever is doing the reconciliation for the company.
Okay, great. So just to confirm, the information on this page, especially the contact person that you've mentioned, this would be whoever does the submission for the company. So if there are any problems, then SARS will know exactly who they need to contact, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that makes sense. So what other information needs to be checked before we can export the documents from the system?
Besides the usual payroll information required, you will need to ensure that all employees' information is complete and correct. Sometimes when employees are added, the incorrect information is provided by accident, or sometimes information is missing. An example of this would be providing the incorrect address, residential address information. And so it's vital to ensure that everything is there and correct, just to ensure that there are no validation issues when importing to EasyFile or e-filing.
Okay, so does this now mean, Justin, that we have to go in and manually check this info? Or is there a quick way for us to do like the pre-validations that you've mentioned?
Okay, so fortunately, you don't need to do this manually. SimplePay allows you to pre-validate your company's data before you export it. Once you run the pre-validation, the system will check both payroll and personal information to ensure that it conforms to the specifications laid out by SARS. And it will also let you know if anything is wrong. So if you want to do the pre-validation, you can go to filing on the left-hand side bar and then go to biannual filing. You can ensure that you have the correct filing season selected from the filing season drop-down menu, and then you can click on the click here hyperlink to run the pre-validation.
Great. I see, Justin, we have some validation warnings there for company and employee. So what does this mean? What do we have to do now to correct the information?
Okay, so it's always recommended that you fix any pre-validation warnings that you receive here. If you receive warnings, such as I have, you can click on the blue hyperlink heading to navigate straight to where you need to fix the information. In this case, I'm going to click on the company validations warning link, and it's going to take me straight to where I need to go and input my telephone number. So here you can see my telephone numbers here, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it in. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and say save. It will take me back to my page, and I can still see that I've got an employee validation warning, which I can go ahead and fix now as well. So I'm just missing the postal code, which I'll just put in a random one now. Right. And if I go ahead and say save once more, I should have no more validation warnings.
Awesome. So I see that the system is really intuitive because it allows you to update the information quickly by simply clicking on the hyperlink.
Yes, navigating to where you need to, or instead of navigating to where you need to correct it, you can just click on the links that are provided here, and the system will take you to where you need to be.
Awesome. So after we have now completed the pre-validation, what would be the next step?
Once you've completed your pre-validation, the next step would be to export the tax certificate information from SimplePay. To do this, you'll need to navigate to Filing and then to Biannual Filing. Or in my case, I'm just going to say go back, right? And then you'll scroll down towards the bottom of the page until you see the Export Certificates to EasyFile link. You can just go ahead and click on it, and the system will export it and download it for you, which you can see over here on my screen. It's also important to never open this file, and it is also important to note that you must run the pre-validation check in order to have access to this file.
Great. I see that the system also tells you in brackets, save this file, don't open. So why is it important that we not open the file? Why shouldn't we open it?
So opening the file could change the format or the information of the file, which could result in you encountering issues when importing into EasyFile or e-filing.
Okay, that makes sense. So how then would we go about downloading the file for importing it into e-filing?
So you'll actually make use of the same file that you use for EasyFile. So you'll follow the same steps. All you would need to do is rename the file and add .csv at the back of the file's name.
Great. So the same file with just .csv at the end can then be imported into e-filing. I think that's doable. And I also see that just below the tax certificate link there is also an EMP 501 document. Can you remind us again, Justin, what is the purpose of this document?
So the EMP 501 is a summary of the EMP 201's filed so far, and is used to reconcile the figures paid to SARS. To generate the EMP 501 report, you'll navigate back to the About Annual Filing page, which I'm now already on. You'll scroll down towards the bottom of the page and click on either the PDF icon to generate a PDF version of the EMP 501, or the spreadsheet icon to generate a spreadsheet version of the EMP 501.
So just to confirm, you can use the EMP 501 to compare the figures you have in EasyFile. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. EasyFile will also generate an EMP 501, which you can compare to the one on SimplePay. This allows you to ensure that you've paid what you've paid to SARS corresponds with the figures that you withheld from the employees.
Okay, that makes sense. So that makes it actually easy to reconcile the values in. I think it's time, Justin, let me do another poll. And again, the poll should pop up on your screens anytime now, and it will be in the form of a true or false question. So the question wants to know, employers with less than 50 employees can use either SARS e-filing or SARS EasyFile. Employers with more than 50 employees must file using EasyFile. So I know it's a lot, but is this true or is this false? Okay, so 79% actually think that this is true. Justin, what is the answer?
So this is true. Employers with less than 50 employees can make either use of EasyFile or e-filing. However, employers with more than 50 employees must make use of EasyFile to do the reconciliation.
Okay, that's great to know. So maybe you can show us now how to import the file into EasyFile once we have downloaded it.
Okay, so to import the tax certificate file into EasyFile, you'll firstly need to open up EasyFile and log into it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen sharing of SimplePay, and I'm just going to share my screen on my EasyFile application. There we go. So all I need to do now is quickly punch in my details so nobody peek. Let's go. There we go. Okay, and now once you've logged in, you'll notice that you're now on the main menu of EasyFile. From there, you'll just click on Import/Export Payroll File, and then click on Import Payroll File. You'll have to navigate to where you've downloaded the file to, and in my case, I've got it here, so I'm just going to double click on the file and say OK. EasyFile will validate my file now, and it's now let me know that my file has passed validation. But it's here where EasyFile will also let you know if it has failed validation or if it's passed validation but with warnings.
Awesome. So EasyFile will actually tell you if the file has passed or if it failed validation. But where would we see a breakdown of the warning report if the file has failed the validation? Can you show us, Justin?
Okay, so you can generate that report by going to Utilities on the left-hand side bar and then clicking on the Import Payroll File Log tab. From there, you'll just need to go ahead and find your file that you've imported, and you can just double-click it to open up the report. Should you want to save this report, you just click on the Save Report button, and it will ask you where you would want to save the report to.
Great. So if the file has passed the validation, we can proceed with the recon. But if it has failed, you mentioned that we need to take some action and correct the information. So what would be the best way to go about correcting it? Can we fix it on SimplePay or should we fix it on EasyFile?
You can either correct the information on SimplePay or you can correct it on EasyFile. However, we generally recommend correcting it on SimplePay.
And why would this be the best way of doing it? Why should we do it on SimplePay and not EasyFile?
So correcting the information on SimplePay will ensure that it is correct for future submissions as well. So that's why it's recommended that you correct it on SimplePay instead.
Okay, that makes sense. So Justin, can you explain to us maybe the difference between the failed and the warning tab? I see that we have two tabs on EasyFile. So maybe just take us through the differences between the two.
Okay, so the Failed tab is showing you information that is mandatory and that needs to be updated or completed before you can proceed with your reconciliation. You can see here that on this file, there's an issue with the UIF reference number that is missing.
Okay, great. And what is the Warnings tab?
So the Warnings tab will contain any issues that wouldn't stop the reconciliation. However, it's recommended that the information be provided to avoid potential penalties from SARS. In this file, you'll notice that we've got a few warnings here. And so EasyFile is essentially letting me know that the income tax reference numbers are missing for these employees. If we went back and fixed it on SimplePay and re-imported the file, we shouldn't receive these warnings again.
Awesome. So once the file is corrected, or once the information is corrected on SimplePay and imported successfully, we can then proceed with the reconciliation process on EasyFile. On SimplePay, we have also made some guides available on our help pages. And also, if you do run into issues with your import, you're welcome to contact our support team, and we'll be more than happy to assist you and guide you through this process. So that wraps up our webinar for today. We'll now be opening the floor for any questions, and I'm handing it over to Pussy.